I think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not.
No, A&W is shit. I mean, A&W is overrated too. It's overpriced and it's overrated.
Yeah.
Fuck the both of you. A&W's pretty good.
Whoa.
Nice.
That's my hamburger. Like if I'm gonna get a hamburger like twice a year or whatever, that's where I'm going.
I like to lower the bar sometimes. Just go to fucking Burger King.
Yeah, I can't fault you there.
Like
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta go like bottom basement. Like
It's not even food, and you can feed the whole family for fucking $26 though.
yeah.
Where's Harvey's in this hierarchy?
Oh,
Harvey's is
pretty
high.
good.
Harvey's is like actually like a restaurant.
I cooked his food all the way through because he was the president.
Fuck.
Shit. Yeah. So Batman died. I don't know if there's a lot of feelings about that, but I felt like, man, Kevin Conroy's death has kind of hit me hard. That's my Batman. And like all the comics nerds are like, my Batman, no. Yeah, they're just dropping like flies. Am I the only one who feels anything though? I guess you've been busy.
It's the boom. The boomers are starting to die.
Yeah, they sure are. Although I think he was young. Mark Hamill's not dead yet, so I'm not sure there's any justice in the world.
Yeah, he probably pridefully saved up all of his sick hours or whatever. Like, I saved up 120 hours sick time. I don't call in sick because I'm a boomer.
Right.
He was. That's just one of their pride points. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind of true.
Yeah, I was thinking. I was like, you might be right. Although, here he is there. How did he die? Sorry, I haven't got the full news yet.
Should have taken some time off.
He died at Mount Sinai Hospital, intestinal cancer.
Ugh. He did look rough in the last few pictures I saw. Like he was fighting something.
Yeah, that fucking sucks.
Yeah, that can't be a great way to go.
Yeah. This movie.
Yeah, shouldn't have said that, but whatever.
Yeah. This movie that we're about to talk about, this movie called Misery, features two people who James Caan's dead, and he had pulmonary disease and congestive heart failure. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. I fucking believe that. Absolutely.
Jimmy Caan died?
Yeah, he
died this year, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. July.
That's sad.
Yeah, well, except he died.
He was old in this movie, so he made it to 2022. We're not even sure.
He was 82. That's the thing, though. I don't even think he was that old at this point. He was born in 40. He was 50. He was 50 when he made this fucking movie.
That's old enough, man.
Yeah, well, he didn't. He didn't look as young as he could have looked. That wasn't his brand. That wasn't James Caan's brand.
No,
and
he probably did a bunch of cocaine.
Yeah.
I always blame things on cocaine.
Scanning through his Wikipedia and like the stories and the way he talks about his life, he made some choices. And Richard Farnsworth, the cop, he shot himself because he was because of the cancer. Yeah. So it's just
he got cancer and he fucking went out like a man.
Yeah, terminal cancer left him partially paralyzed and in great pain. So he died from self-inflicted gunshot wound in his ranch.
That's fair. That's
wow.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. The balls.
Yeah.
And that's unusual.
I was looking him up, and he had just done this. He just won the Academy, or no, he was nominated for the Oscar. He won some other prize for The Straight Story the year before, and yeah.
I don't know what The Straight Story is.
Well, that's a David Lynch movie. It's the one where he's like driving around on his tractor. It's like a really like it's an un-Lynch movie, but
Oh, that's funny.
Hollywood loved it.
I've never seen it. I forgot. I now that you've said it out loud, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. There's that Lynch movie, but
well, he charmed the fuck out of me in this movie. So
Okay. So hi everybody, Extinction Agenda, talking Stephen King, talking Misery, Rob Reiner's 1990s classic, November 30th, 1990. So yeah, we're close to the anniversary. Screenplay by William Goldman. Made some money. I don't know. This movie stayed with me.
Yeah, me too.
I watched this one 10, I guess.
I
watched it when it came out, and like I never forgot.
This is my first viewing. Never seen it before.
Oh, okay. Well, go, sir. How did this?
I was shocked because like the famous scenes from it, obviously. You know that some sledgehammer action is going to happen, and I think that's why I always avoided it because, well, first of all, non-supernatural Stephen King is something that I just don't have a feel for. Like I like a supernatural horror story, so there's that barrier. Then I felt like a lot of the best parts were spoiled for me. But no, this movie's like a really tightly tuned machine and like just a masterpiece of suspense. So I enjoyed watching it like way more than I thought I would.
Yeah, the trailer leaves no I watched this with Cynthia, and then afterwards just for fun. Again, I didn't tell her anything, because she'd never seen this.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and so I was like, "You're in for a treat." And then and she was like, "Oh my god, this was so intense."
No, it's bad. Kate had never seen it either, and she was like playing a game on the Nintendo Switch, and she was like just kept looking up from it, being like, "Jesus Christ!" Like,
but you watch the trailer and it tells you everything, all the major story beats. Like the only thing it doesn't tell you is that the cops get shot at the end, in classic Stephen King fashion, or at least Shining fashion.
The shinin.
The funny thing about that is that like that's one of the parts that he like really hated about Kubrick's script in the book. Mr. Hanrahan, Halloran. He like shows up and like helps him get away and like doesn't die at all. So it's very funny that he then took that and then like worked it into another of his novels. This was 87, Misery.
Yeah. Well, let's because I have you read the original novel? Because I'm hesitant to maybe this is another, because there's significant changes even just reading the Wikipedia between like this movie and like the scenario is the same, of course, right? It's not that wildly different, but if they had made the actual book, like this movie would have been a very different, because like we'll get into it, but Annie Wilkes in this story, gives him a drug, and it doesn't really play. It kind of plays a large role in the story, but in the original novel, like it's like a cocaine drug that dude gets addicted to, and she like withholds it from him in order to persuade him to write a new version of the story.
Right.
That's very different than this movie. So they made some changes. William Goldman did. And maybe it's just another Hollywood edition. I'd be curious.
I haven't read the book. I understand that this book was always considered one of Stephen King's most unfilmable, and that makes a lot of sense. And I think that might be what drew William Goldman to it, because when you like look at that guy's bio, it's
crazy.
He like owns Hollywood. He's like just a master of that old school classic, like 3-act structure, like everything building on itself and very tight.
Yeah. It's funny that you'd make that like large of alterations to the source material and still get a product this good. That what you just described is a dramatic story difference.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this guy, he, Goldman, who wrote The Princess Bride, incidentally, he would just do adaptations. Like that's how he, like, looking through his Wikipedia anyway. And I think I listened to an interview with him in the Projection Booth podcast. a little while ago because he's dead too, November 16th, 2018. I won't look up how he died. But anyway, he started up doing adaptations. That's sort of his bread and butter. And then, well, actually, no, he started as a novelist, then a screenwriter, but then he just did a bunch of adaptations after that. Yeah, like him and Rob Reiner together, like there's so many.
Oh
just
shit!
even at first glance, it's just like pop culture of the 90s. Like our psychic landscape was created, or at least large islands, like if this was the dreaming inside of our imagination, like they would have their own little kingdom where the dreams and the myths come from.
I had like a Kaiser Sosa moment when you mentioned like Rob Reiner and like his influence, and then I couldn't picture the guy, and then I did look him up, and I was like, holy fuck, that's Meathead from All in the Family.
Yes.
Like, and just like I'm still like spinning for that. Like I can't, because I remember specifically like watching All in the Family. Like that guy never did anything after this. I'm sure about that.
Right.
And no, holy shit, he became like a world class director.
Yeah. So anyway, Misery. Right. I don't know. That said, I don't like this thing's like a Hitchcockian fucking beauty. Like it's very. I did get fucking pissed off with James Caan a little bit in this movie. Like
why?
Well, because he would leave the room so much. Like he was so. He was early on, and he didn't realize like, okay, everything's weird, and I'm obviously a little caged, but I'm also completely at the mercy of this individual. And every time he ventures out, and I understand the movie can't like play a game of cat and mouse, and it has to increase tension, and it's just there as like a story thing. But he goes out further than he ought to, and he puts himself into greater trouble than would be required, and greater trouble than is intelligent based on like the information he has. Like goes all the way to the kitchen, and he's in a wheelchair. He gets out of his fucking wheelchair. He probably should have knocked over lamps left and right. Like the place would have been a disaster. And there's no way he could have gotten away with it. Yeah, I just found.
But he didn't. He really didn't.
He didn't what? Oh, it's true. He didn't. Yeah. She found her. But it's that penguin. Penguin's always facing due north.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I'm always gonna. That's just my temperament. Like for the same reason I can't handle cringe comedy, I can't watch many elements without groaning. I can't watch a lot of horror movies without groaning. I can't watch suspense without groaning. Like, and I understand these things are necessary, just like as emotional devices and as plot devices. So, nonetheless.
Yeah. So, like, Chris, since and I'll ask you too, James. Since Cynthia it was her first go at this, and Chris, this is your first. When did you like for me, like I've seen this like a million times, but the when did you really like pick up that she was fucking bad news? Did that occur to you straight away when she took him out of the car? That this was fucking sideways, or was there like a moment where you're like, oh fuck?
It's interesting, yeah, because I've seen so much of like the choice bits of this, or at least I understood what was going to happen. Like right away. But I think what surprised me, first of all, that fireman's carry, which she just like has over her shoulder. That was amazing. Yeah, she's like she just how. I think what's interesting is like all these moments where she isn't like overtly She-Hulk, like where she's just seemingly pleasant, but there are all these little, even in the way that she's like shaving him. I think that was the first time I was like, oh shit, this straight razor, and the way that she's like, moving him around, and like the vulnerability that he had, and like just how big she was in comparison. There's menace in that.
Yeah, but the real, and that's menace, but the real sideways moment is when she starts getting angry at him about something. The first time she gets angry,
the swearing.
Yeah, and he's like, but people in the Bronx. But I think it was even something before that.
Oh, and she spilled the soup?
That was later. Oh, wait, you're right. Yeah, when she spills the soup, you're absolutely right. Yeah, that's when you're like, oh, okay. Like, you don't know
yeah.
Say that again?
No, I was gonna say just because initially she like her story sort of checks out on the onset. You know, the roads are fucking closed. I pulled you out of the car. I'm a nurse. You know, don't worry about it. I'll call your agent. As soon as the phones come up, you know, we'll get you into town. Get an ambulance down here. But like that all sort of like fades away really quick. But I think you're right when the soup spills and you first realize like she's mentally unbalanced and she's lying and this isn't gonna go good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm watching her face like what's her name? Kathy Bates. She's like so expressive, like she's really wild.
Oh, Kathy Bates is unreal. Like I was gonna ask you guys that too. Does this movie happen without her? Because I don't think it does.
No, I have a hard time picturing anyone else.
Yeah, that's a difficult question to, you know, like you could put other actresses in, but like it works so well in this instance that like that's why you feel you couldn't put anybody else, because like it's James Caan, it's her, it's the setting, like it just worked so well, so like nothing's broken, and you're like nothing would fix it, nothing would make
there's something too about like there's just like the size of her, she's imposing, but she's also like can be very sweet and like sort of like farm girl, kind of like naive too, and she's just kind of pulling all of that together. It would just be so hard to imagine anyone else having all those attributes.
Yeah, they talked about, you know, again, I'm just basing this on Wikipedia, but you know, there was talk about Angelica Houston for a little while. You know, I don't know how that goes. You know, either she turned it down or they turned her down. Probably not that, because this movie. One thing about this movie is like it looks like a TV movie in the way that many Stephen King movies look. Like this is a 6-person cast, it's very small sets. Not really a lot going on, but anyway, you know, so I just don't see like many stars like being interested. And James Caan was on he was on the downslope. Kathy Bates was not a going concern, you know, and I think they just kind of lucked out.
Yeah, I mean, she like this has to be like a breakout role for her. Like she was probably difficult to even cast after this. Like she still fucking creeps me out to this day. Like I see her in you ever watch her in American Horror Story?
Yeah, she's in fucking every season of American Horror Story too, and I see her and I'm like, ugh, no.
Oh yeah, I see her. Yeah, she's still doing stuff, but she hasn't had.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, she's not. Let's be honest, she's not beautiful, and there's a limited.
Fair.
In the way that Hollywood is beautiful, you know, like
okay, yeah, you mean in the Hollywood standard, not like
yeah, exactly. And so she was never gonna be a big star like that, but you know, she's had a career and she fucking earned it. Like she was in Dick Tracy.
Yeah, I think she looks great and she's aged well. But yeah, I know what you mean, like in terms of like Hollywood. She's not Sharon Stone or whatever.
Yeah, exactly, right. That's all I mean. So
yeah, she literally plowed through Hollywood with pure acting talent. Fucking
yeah, pretty much
rare for that era. Well, that's very generalized.
Yeah, it feels true. Oh no, she's got ovarian cancer. All these people are cancer.
Jesus.
That's Wikipedia. You are not helping anything. Probably conspiracy baked in there somewhere. Rob Reiner.
Probably from that COVID shot. Mutates the DNA. Just kidding.
They would have to have done so in the past as well.
That was sarcasm.
Yeah.
No algorithm for theft.
Yeah, maybe Rob Reiner is, because he's alive and he's a strong political advocate on the left. So like maybe he's also a nefarious radiation poisoner. He seems to be up shade on Russia. I don't know. People are talking, Rob. Chris, how much Stephen King have you read?
I've read a fair amount actually.
Really?
Yeah, I at least maybe like 20 novels.
Wow. Fuck. What?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Wow. Okay.
And I wouldn't even say that I'm a huge, like, I'm a fan. Like, he's good, but there's always elements in it where you're like, oh, that was, this kind of like lost the plot a little bit for the most part. Every now and then he'll have like a near perfect novel, and it keeps you coming back.
Right. You want to hear something? Speaking of Wikipedia, apparently the only novelist in history to have over 30 number one books.
That's crazy. Yeah. I believe it too. Like, he's so prolific. He's just yeah.
So that leads right into you, James. Like, is it possible that I don't think it's possible that he's a hack. I think that's just haters. I mean, the guy's got to be a fucking genius. Nothing else to it.
I don't know. A hack is someone who works and hacks out work. Like, my definition of hack, like Alan Moore's a hack, Grant Morrison's a hack, and I think Stephen King's a hack too. Like, he's producing so much work.
I don't agree with that definition though. Like, that's just being prolific. A hack is somebody who's like just churning out like garbage, like all the time, just to make a paycheck.
Yeah, I have a much more expansive, because I think like so many people working in Hollywood, so many people working in storytelling, like professional storytelling, they just hack shit out. Like, you don't see the full extent of all their hackery generally, because a lot of it doesn't get produced, or it doesn't. But they're constantly writing, they're constantly churning, and that's part of the profession. And it's similar. Like, what's the distinction between Robert E. Howard, constantly thousands of his obviously career got cut short by suicide, but no, I don't think like hack is taken to mean bad writer. I take it to mean a type of writer. Like, Cormac McCarthy isn't a hack, not because he like, I publish a book every couple of years, but that's a different type of writing. And one of the reasons I've never touched a Stephen King book, because I open them up and it's just a dense wall of fucking nothing. and I'm like, oh God. And I look at them and they're 300 to 400 pages, sometimes longer. And I'm like,
oh, much longer.
Is there kind of, even in this Misery story though, is there sort of a self-aware joke that he's an entertainment writer?
Absolutely.
Like, included in the subtext? Like,
absolutely. There's even the name Paul Sheldon, like, that has to be, I think, a go at Sidney Sheldon, who just churns out these like romance novels directed at middle-aged women. And it's definitely like Stephen King said himself that the Kathy Bates character is an amalgamation of just a bunch of his worst and scariest fans. Like, he would spend half his day writing letter or reading, or getting correspondence, responding to people, and just like, I think in the book on writing, he shows some of the things people like came after him for, like just angry letters about like how dare you have a dog die in Cujo? How could you do that? And why would you put that on me? And just, like, people just get so upset about the things that you do to characters, and part of his job is just to take that, or like try to rationalize it.
Well, it's probably unique to him too, or maybe not totally unique to him. That's probably not fair, but probably given his massive success and given his cultural position, like, again, never read a Stephen King movie. Not only do I know about Stephen King, I've never read a Stephen King book. Not only do I know all about Stephen King, though, not only for me is he a household name, or he is those things, because I've seen so many movies based on his books. Like, he exists for me only as like books
source
turned
material.
Yeah. That's all he. That's been my experience with him. And sometimes it works out extremely well, like a lot of the time. Shining, this, Carrie, I could probably name a bunch of others, but they're not coming to my mind.
Yeah, there also doesn't work sometimes. Thinner.
Yeah.
Hey, but a quick question though. Is there not skill in being able to reach the audience he's able to reach, like in en masse like that? Like be able to be palatable to anybody. Like, is that not skill, or is he just like, do we feel like he's just writing drivel on purpose? Because I don't think that's possible. And if anybody could write crap, there'd be way more of him. But he's like a legend. He broke through. He broke walls down and became a household name when that was barely possible in literature.
I can't speak to it. Have not read the books.
There's so many of these like airport novelists that are just pure drivel hacks. I don't think Stephen King's that. There's something, he's definitely on a different level. He flirts with hackery. Like he likes to slum it. And I think he's always on the doorstep, but he somehow pulls, I don't know, he pulls to a different level. Something else drives him, and sometimes that's cocaine, and sometimes it's like, I don't know, just like an inner vision. But really that's what this movie's about. Like it likes playing with that, the term misery. Like it's the name of the character that he's most famous for writing, and he's complaining at the start, like, like, I haven't been a writer since I got into the misery business, and his agent's telling him, I've paid for 2 houses and like front row tickets to the Knicks. But that's like this whole thing is like, there's an existential level to it where it's like Kathy Bates, like, you could take this, like, she's in a way the baby crawling across the roof on Train Spotting. Like, she's the hell of his own making, and she's there to judge him for, like, she's tying him to that character. Like, she won't let him move on. And it's really the question of, it's misery to continue doing this hack shit and like just like churning it out because it's making a paycheck, and it's going to be misery to move beyond it, because this psycho is like here to pop your kneecaps with like a sledgehammer or whatever. Yeah. But like, you got to choose one kind of pain, and there's only one that's going to be authentic, right?
Yeah. And okay, so if Stephen King is Paul Sheldon, and if we were replacing the misery characters with genre fiction, horror fiction, like, every once in a while you'll get like you said, a non-horror Stephen King, which again, even by your own admission, you were far less interested in, and he's like, I got to get out of there, I got to get out of just being the guy who writes horror all the time. So yeah, it totally applies, and fits with what I understand the novel to be, which is where, like I was saying earlier, she represents not just fan culture gone amok, like the sort of controlling nature of fan culture, the authoritarian and fascistic, very toxic elements of fan culture, which are prevalent today now. Absolutely. More than ever. But also his own drug addiction, which was stronger in the obviously in the novel. It's not very present here as well at all, but it is present in what you just said. Like that idea that you're kind of stuck, with fan culture becomes like your fans, your audience become like an addiction, perhaps.
Yeah.
Maybe,
yeah.
Or
I like that. Yeah, the praise, or like the it's kind of a trap of its own making. I love his like James Cannon is very good at just like subtle reactions and just sort of like not like the little like flinch or the flare that kind of expresses contempt in a moment, but he's also trying to humor her, and just like sort of like he's just constantly confronted with her, like, I mean, really it is kind of a stupidity where, so what's that ceiling that Dago painted? That and Misery's Child are the only 2 divine things ever created in this world. And you just kind of like gotta go along with it and accept this praise.
Yeah, and you're like, no, it's Michelangelo. It's Michelangelo. It's yeah, it's
the
funny.
Sistine Chapel. Yeah.
Yeah. I love the gross incompetence of the federal government in this story, or like anything other than your homegrown old fella sheriff, who immediately starts like, Columboing this shit the second anything like. Everybody has all the like the feds and their cops and stuff like that. They have full access to the same fucking crime scene that he's accessed, and they all could have seen that the door was pried open from inside. But the story goes out of its way to make sure only Mr. Farnsworth here, happens to notice that, and happens to also have like a theory of the case like immediately, and I don't know, and good, because we need something. We need a white knight coming to save our Paul Sheldon here. But at the same time, you're like, God, this is stupid.
Yeah.
It's so charming that you don't mind, but you're like, this is dumb. You're like,
I have to agree with that. I did appreciate the yeah, I mean they're also the only comic relief really in the that the kind of like the relationship between them just feels like very authentic. Like there's that spice, the sarcasm's the spice that keeps our marriage fresh, and like I've seen old couples like that, and it also I guess provides a foil like for the sort of twisted sort of like infatuation that Kathy Bates has for Sheldon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all the cops are all like sort of the comic relief though, like that interview that the one cop does. Where he's like, yeah, we've discovered the vehicle. No doubt, whatever. What's his name? Paul Sheldon. No doubt, Paul Sheldon's dead. Haven't been able to recover the body. It's somewhere out here in the snow. We'll recover it on the first thaw. Any questions? They're like, you heard it first from the chief himself, or from it's Constable Billy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, our boy's still hot on the trail.
He's not buying into it.
Yeah, fucking liberal media, fake news all over the place. Goddamn city slickers. It is. I think another thing that makes the story so like it is a really interesting conceit. Like that he has to write a story within like with a certain character in order to like stay alive, and then like watching Kathy Bates, watching Annie Wilkes like engage with the story and seeing like her, it becomes like sort of a window into her psychosis, into her own like she's spinning around like a little girl right now. She's just so happy, and yeah, it's unique. As a premise for like a thriller, like someone's got you, the serial killer, she's a serial killer, has you hostage. Yeah. How do you stay alive? And he does so through like fantasy.
Yeah. It's like 1001 Arabian Nights, except it's just one novel that he's got to keep writing.
Oh my goodness, you're right. Yeah.
And she's keeping him pinned to that character. Yeah,
I love how she like forces him to like how she like gets angry with him about fucking how he's trying to bring her back to life. Like, you fucking buried her in the ground. You have to start there.
Before that, actually, I forgot about that. But what happens specifically is she's like, no, the continuity's all wrong, Paul. Don't you remember as I remember? Because like for these things, like this is again getting back to fan culture. It's just like no. These are the rules that you established. And she talks about seeing those movies, the serials, and she just hated that there wasn't continuity. You needed continuity, otherwise, like the world's going insane. And yeah. I think I've always really liked this movie, and and perhaps it's a testament to Stephen King or whatever, but just like it's a really excellent skewering of the very sort of culture that he's at the very center of. I get the impression a lot of the time that like entertainers don't like their audience. They like some of their audience, like mass entertainers. Like you just enter into the fucking morass of people, and if you're a going concern, you don't get to pick who likes your work. And most of the people are going to be shitty, but they fork over money, right? But he's still willing to just like, actually, these people are fucking gross. They're really fucking gross, and I take that.
That's pretty
and
good.
This is a movie about that.
Yeah. Well, he's always, and I think being a horror writer too, there must be a particular, like, it's how many times has he been asked, like how can you write such horrible things? Like he has his standard answers. Like he'll often say that, I if I write about it, it can't happen, or like, I've kind of exercised it from my mind. But like, oh God, if you were asked that, like probably every interviewer, how quickly would you get tired of that?
I would never ask him that question. That's fucking, that's the I hear you. But that's just the sort of fawning bullshit that you would like. Why are you so good? And like, how do you deal with the awesome?
No, I think it's more like I think occasionally it's like, what is wrong with you? Like,
oh yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, like sort of a like, what, like, are you mentally disturbed or like whatever? Yeah, I would have my handler kibosh those questions.
Yeah. That's one thing I gather about Stephen King is he doesn't have a handler. Like he's very active on Twitter, and right. unless he's paying some people, But I don't get that impression.
No, he's very authentic, and very very outspoken, political. I love, even in his novels, like and even in this, there's a Nixon thing, like inner like murder book or whatever. Like he just loves taking his little shots, and I really appreciate that.
Well, there's a Nixon thing like in her memory lane.
Yeah. It's like a bookmark or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but
okay, I'll find it. I'm at this point now where he's trying to like poison her at the dinner table.
Right.
That's so awesome. I
wish he would have been. Plan.
Yeah, not a bad plan at all.
He was pretty bummed. He really worked hard for that.
Oh yeah. No, and it gives us a little like. Because again, getting back to my own frustrations with a lot of horror movies and stuff like that, like you're not doing anything to get out of your fucking situation, and yeah, he's got a little plan, he's working within his boundaries, and
yeah.
Oh my God,
that pump and iron with the typewriter.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, everything has its place, and it's like it like just starts on a downhill slope, like, within a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, you get the car crash, and like the first scene, like you understand exactly, like the guy writing a novel has a cigarette, car crash, and you're just into it, and everything that gets added just amps up the tension and keeps it going. Like it just there's that 3-act structure that like the classic Hollywood guys will like really harp on, but this is such a textbook and perfect example of it.
Yeah, I use the example. I'm sorry, I'm on the thing I'm looking for. I'm on Nixon watch here, but I called it Hitchcockian. Like it's Rear Window. It's very sort of Rear Window. I mean, obviously it's a different scenario, but even the wheelchair, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I can't find the Nixon thing. I saw something about a test, but anyway.
Yeah, but that agent, like the just that, and having the agency of the character is really, like, that's something that they point to as being really important for writing a script. That the character has to want something and has to be actively involved in getting it. And boy, he really wants it. I love that when he's like practicing drawing the knife in his room. It's like,
yeah, see you tomorrow.
Yeah. She's one up on him all the time.
Yeah.
And then I love I love like how she keeps backing out, like, oh, I went for a drive and I could see how you see me, or like after she hobbles him, but she's like, he flips her off when she's out in the yard, and she's like, you're such a kidder.
Fuck that hobbling scene. Jesus.
They really built that up slow.
Yeah.
Too. Like you weren't like, I don't know, like it was the newspaper, I think, on that second Get Out when he realized, like, you sort of put together, oh man, like she killed her husband and probably a bunch of other coworkers and her vet and a bunch of children.
Yeah.
Like, and once that's established, I feel like then it's like all bets are off for her basically, like, what she's capable of.
Yeah.
It's interesting too that it's an image of labor. Like, I mean, obviously there's a big difference between a writer and somebody who's forced to work in a diamond mine, but she's purposely, like, in her mind, like, looks at him as like this, like, slave who's there to write for her.
Yeah. That's a Goldman thing, because she cuts off his fingers or something like that in the book. She, like,
okay.
It's something else.
Oh, nice touch.
Yeah. Yeah, very nice touch. And actually it kind of, like, made me sad, because I was like, I wonder, because she, like, when she says, you know, she tells him the story quickly of the diamond mine thing, and I was like, Stephen King must have read about that, you know, like, must have come to his head, but I don't know, you know, like, I could just be a complete Goldman fabrication. And if so, yeah, very nice touch, because it's exactly as you put it. I would have preferred watching Takashi Miike in that moment. That was so, I was like, this is worthy of anything that motherfucker does, you know. And it's just like, in such a, this is a Hollywood movie. Like, this was the new Stephen King movie at the time, when a new Stephen King movie meant a lot more than I think it means today. And maybe I'm out of touch. But I think, am I wrong, Chris? Like,
a little like bit. And there's an It following.
Yeah, like, I think there's a renaissance of his movies.
That's not the same thing that I'm talking about, though. Like, let's say, like,
a new book, like,
a new novel or something like that.
Yeah, you're definitely true.
Describe me a remake.
Yeah.
Like, so, yeah, I don't think those days are here anymore, and I think they left before the 2000s hit. And again, we'd have to review the record on that one, but
no, you're right about that.
Yeah.
The one I get, there was the JFK one they did, which I think, like, a lot of people really liked, but that was a TV miniseries, and I don't know. It's few and far between for his new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is good, but, like, I mean, this is very good. But it could be extra good because of, you know, the director, and extra good because of you know, changes that the writer has made. One anecdote about Stephen King that, you know, I don't even know if it's true, but this is what's been held in my mind, and I don't even remember where I heard it, is his success, his, like, movie success is not necessarily, it's because he sells his scripts cheap early on. He was like, you want the rights to my movie, my book? Fine, here you go. You know, it's not going to cost you a whole lot. Have at her. And that's probably changed over time as he, you know, this is just in my head, but I see it as, like, his cultural moment is a consequence of him being something that's easily accessed from the ether, you know, just from the soup of fucking stories that Hollywood, like, scoops up and regurgitates. And he leaves himself open easily to use, and as a consequence that's why you'll get such shitty movies sometimes, you know, like, because he's just like, well, whatever, give her, just go. Just keep my name out there, sell my books for me. And that's why he exists for me as purely a mediated product, because that's his design, is how I've always viewed it. And these things that we're talking about right now, this is just advertising for what he really wants to sell. And if it's not the same product, who cares?
That's hard to debate, honestly. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
Which is
I think it's also, no, the one thing I'll say is that I think that he's such a supporter of, like, he really is trying to encourage new talent. Like, he's happy to promote up and coming authors. He's happy to probably support up and coming directors. But I do see where you're going with it.
No, well, I'm just, like, getting back to the original question. You know, is he a hack?
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is like, yeah, man, that's the action of a fucking brilliant hack who knows how to push product. And That doesn't mean his books are bad. But I think he's still in that universe, man. Like he knows the system and he gamed the system, and fucking bravo, man. No, who did it better other than Margaret Atwood, maybe? Or far better than Margaret Atwood, but I'm just trying to think of someone else who fucking just sells themselves.
James Patterson probably maybe hasn't beat, but that's
I guess,
there's
that guy have
short list.
talent though? Like, is that a guy?
No.
That's
He's
the thing.
he's garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't count like Danielle Steele and stuff like that. And,
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. That's the distinction, is that he's like, he does. Yeah, he's so close to being the complete package within the realm of hackery. Because I do find that hard to refute, like what you're saying. He's a commercial writer. Like, I don't think he'd ever say he's anything other than that.
Yeah.
I think he's proud of that. Yeah.
Fucking right, man. Goddamn right. Oh God, I'm just watching The Hobbling right now. Fuck, it's disgusting.
Just the briefest flash too. That really helps too, because it's just like, then you're just fixated on it.
Yeah, you only see it once. They don't show it the second time. It's all off panel. Like, you already saw it once. You saw that thing turn into Play-Doh, and he's like,
a foot didn't bend that way.
Yeah. You're like, oh Christ. And then fade to black. You're like, oh God, and then yeah. So.
Oh, and it really makes the revenge so much satisfying too. Like, everything comes together. He was practicing lifting his typewriter. He gets to smash it on her head. Yeah. If you're gonna write somebody a novel, like revealing our secrets, why not fuck with him if you're gonna die anyway? Like, just I love it. I saw him burning it, like, from the opening when it showed the cigarette and the lighter in the first scene. You're like, he's gonna burn this whatever happens, like. Right. But it doesn't matter, because it's so, just her reaction is just it's so upset. So it's all very satisfying.
Yeah, I like that he comes up with like his plan. So Farnsworth gets shot at the top of the stairs, and he's at the bottom of the stairs, and he's got like, he grabs that oil, the gas can, and puts it like down his ass, and
yeah.
And then he ends up in bed, and he's just like, or he ends up back in his chair, and he's just like, oh, I've just been sitting on this gas can for hours now. Because like he hatched this brilliant, like, shitty Mean Girls-esque plan, like, immediately while he was in the basement, and then you get to see him.
That's a great plan.
It's a great plan, but it's stupid to think that he would have thought of it right away and then like sat on a gas canister that entire time. Like, because everything's cut so quickly, you don't think about like the mechanics of this, and like,
no,
it's genius fucking move. Like, at the bottom of the basement, he's like, I know what I'll do. I'm just gonna burn something. I don't, like, he doesn't know that. I guess his plan.
I think he's play for time, just like do whatever he can. Yeah, and like, I guess if nothing else, like, just destroy her hopes and dreams of finding out what this character is. Because it's like, we got to make Misery immortal before we. And you got to appreciate she's like, her reaction to killing the cop is like, let's nuke it from space, as you like to say. Yeah. It's just like, it's like, hey, this is all over now.
Yeah, we're gonna have to finish it. Did you? So Stand By Me, Rob Reiner movie, another non-supernatural Stephen King, and really, like, of the Stephen King movies that I've seen, like of the Stephen King products that I've ingested, my favorite. And maybe Rob Reiner makes these things work because he gets excellent cast and everything all works out. But Shawshank Redemption, fucking great. I think, like, I prefer the non-supernatural, at least in movie form, the non-supernatural Stephen King.
There are some great ones. The Stand By Me is amazing.
Yeah. Green Mile. I've never saw Green Mile.
Oh, Green Mile.
That's a return.
I wish I could say it's great, but I think it's pretty dated. And Tom Hanks is not my guy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Best thing I've seen Tom Hanks do is that new Elvis movie.
Oh, playing the Colonel or whatever. That
was actually, he made an effort.
Yeah.
And was really, really unrecognizable. So I give him props for that role. But
yeah. does Stephen King have like? Sorry to drop this on you suddenly, Chris. Does he have like themes or something? Like, is there a thing that he, other than horror, obviously, like, is there something he's coming back to? Is there a thing that he's trying to say, or?
That's I don't know if he really does per se. Like alcoholism, like the abuse, like drug abuse and stuff like that in his early stuff. Definitely car crashes and car wrecks, like just I guess the suddenness that death can take. But he's not like a literary guy like that.
I was just curious. Yeah, that's why I didn't want to be like, what are his themes? But sometimes there are. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, this guy's working through something.
Yeah.
And I was just curious. Kathy's coming at him with the fucking needle right now because the cop's coming.
Oh, fuck.
Oh yeah.
The worst.
Get right in there.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do we got anything else here?
No, I think that about covers it for me.
Yeah. Great. Great movie. Fucking top notch.
Yeah, thanks for picking it, guys, because like I say, I'd never seen it. So.
Oh yeah. Hey. I mean, for me, I don't know. That's the be all and end all for Stephen King. I don't know why. I think it's James Caan and I think it's Kathy Bates and I think they just had a great bizarro fucking chemistry and it's just like the best B movie ever. It's just a fucking weird thriller. It's got so much anxiety and tension. It's a horror movie, but it's not. It's a stalker movie, but it's not. She's mentally ill. It's just got a bunch of themes that are weird that nobody really likes. It's so uncomfortable. It's so fucking uncomfortable, and it's just great. That's where I'm at on that. I like that better than anything else. That like I like that better than It. You know, I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but
I don't think so. Well, for me, it's not. I like it. It doesn't. Like that's a TV movie. It's awkward. I was creepy as fuck when I was a kid, but I don't think about it anymore at all. In this movie, I'll never not. It won't like it's just buried in my consciousness. You know, like yeah. I don't know. We don't need to do guilty or innocent on that. I think you fucking nailed it, James. I can't speak for Chris, but I think you.
No, that's fair.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's that. Well, good night, everybody. Thanks for listening.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.